Welcome to Legal Lines. Tonight, my guests are Judge Penny Blackwell, Court of Common Pleas of York County, Pennsylvania, and April Billet-Barclay, the Deputy Chief Adult Probation Officer for York County. My name is Tom O'Shea. I'm the host of the show, and tonight the topic is Drug Treatment Court, which gets me to the first question I have. April, what is Drug Treatment Court?
Drug Treatment Court is a program designed for nonviolent, high-risk, drug-addicted recidivists, individuals who are constantly or repeatedly cycling through the criminal justice system due to struggles with their drug addiction.
Okay. Now, this would be someone who is charged with a crime, I believe.
Yes. Yes. One of the eligibility criteria would be an individual who has committed a crime due to their addiction.
Okay. And how did drug court get started? Judge Blackwell, could you answer that?
Yes, Judge Kennedy in 1997 was the lead judge for York County, and there had been a court developed in Philadelphia. And Judge Kennedy followed through, fortunately, in finding out all of the information necessary to form such a court in York County. He then undertook that and started it in 1997, and it has carried forth until today and continues onward because of his efforts, as well as Judge Linebaug's efforts, who took over after Judge Kennedy had been on the court for about 6 years.
As I understand it, York County was the second county in Pennsylvania to have the drug treatment court.
Yes.
And we're one of the leaders, if you will, with respect to this program.
Yes, we are.
It's also my understanding that most counties now have a similar program.
I believe there's a number that fluctuates between 30 to 50, depending on what stage of development that program is in. And I believe that they're really actively, probably 37 or so. I think April could fill in, but I know there are courts underway who are actively following through and getting the information necessary to form such a court.
Okay, and just to make it clear right now, you are the judge who is handling a drug treatment court right now.
Right. I came in January of this year, and I had approached our president judge about heading the drug treatment court, and fortunately I was given that assignment, and it is one that I very much wanted to do.
Well, that's good. Well, let me turn to April now with who is eligible to be in drug treatment court. You started to talk about that, but let's go into the criteria that is necessary for an individual to become part of the program.
Okay. An individual must be age 18 years of age, a resident of York County, have committed a crime that is related to their addiction, and be found addicted to substances.
Now, to make that clear, so if someone were to, let's say, shoplift, and the underlying cause of their the crime was an addiction to drugs, they were trying to steal in order to pay for drugs, that shoplifting isn't necessarily a drug-related crime for everyone, but this individual it would be.
Correct. We take offenses from prostitution, theft, forgeries, all the way up through possession with intent to deliver, burglary, all offenses that individuals commit due to their drug addiction.
Okay. So how do you know if someone is just saying, well, I committed this crime because I'm addicted to drugs, versus somebody who did, in fact, commit the crime because they're addicted to a drug?
Typically, the individual's attorney will refer them to the program. Every application is screened. We check their prior record to screen out people with histories of violent offenses. If they're found to be eligible by both the district attorney and our office, they are referred to a drug and alcohol evaluator who sits on our team. Every individual is evaluated, and a treatment plan is set up for them. So it's rare that we get someone who's referred to the program who does not have an addiction.
So there is an evaluation performed to determine whether or not the person does have a drug problem, if you will.
Yes.
And I want to make it clear, we're not just talking about illegal drugs, are we?
No, we're talking about prescription pill abuse, alcohol in combination with illegal substances.
So someone who might be prescribed pain medication, for example, they could become addicted to the pain medication, and even though that drug might be legal, they could still be part of the drug court program.
Yes, we do. That is a charge we see frequently in the program, forging prescriptions.
Okay.
To
and that would be the underlying crime, then, the forgery of a prescription.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I understand that there's a waiting list to get to the drug court program.
Right. Unfortunately, we do have a waiting list. Our capacity is 150 individuals, and fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, our program is very successful. We have about 50% of applications referred to the program or accepted, and yes, we have a waiting list at this point.
Okay, so there is an application process, a screening process, and everyone who is in the program basically was charged with a crime, and it was found that the underlying source of the crime was a drug addiction.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Judge Blackwell, I understand there's a team approach to dealing with this and screening the cases, and can you talk about that?
Yes, as April indicated, after the person has been approved, we then start the process of evaluating that person and getting the assessment as to the addiction itself. And then the team, which consists of our treatment court administrator who heads the day-to-day workings of this team, as well as our drug and alcohol evaluator, drug and alcohol case manager. We have 3 probation officers who each carry 50 people, more or less. And then additionally, we have a victim witness coordinator and then myself. The victim witness coordinator is important because that person contacts the victim to see if they are in agreement for the person to come into the program and or if there is a concern about having them admitted into the program. And that is one of the things that we look at. The team itself meets every Thursday, and we start at 8:15 in the morning. We are going through the list of the individuals who are appearing in front of us, and we take generally the ones who have the most problems. They come first, then we go down the entire list, and it ranges from as many as maybe 50 people in one session, depending on the scheduling, and then we call those persons in and follow through with them.
Now, I understand that there are various conditions that the people in the program must meet. I was told before the program that there are 21 conditions.
Right.
I don't want you to list all 21, but can you give us a general idea of what type of conditions there are?
There are conditions such as following through with any treatment recommendations. So if there is a recommendation to go to a treatment house program where they are going to be housed for a period of 6 months, they have to follow through with that. They are given a certain number of community service hours that they have to perform as to each stage, and I think April will be talking about that stage. They also have to follow through with looking for a job. They have to get a GED if they don't have a high school diploma. In some cases, if a person doesn't know how to read, we expect them to follow through with literacy programs. If they're having problems of getting a job, we have various programs available through the community in which they have to participate in order to build job skills. And then if they get a job, they have to make every effort to keep that job.
Okay. And you mentioned something about the various stages of the program, and April, can you explain what that is?
Yes. An individual has to plead guilty before the judge to enter the program. Once they plead guilty, they enter phase 1. It's a 3-phase program lasting a minimum of 12 months. Rarely does someone complete the program in 12 months. The average is about 18 months. During phase 1, they have to report to court every week, answer to the judge about what they have or haven't done that week. They see their probation officer anywhere from daily to once a week. They have to complete a required, I believe it's 5 hours of community service in phase 1, 15 in phase 2, and 30 in phase 3. Once an individual completes all the requirements for phase 1, they move to phase 2, where they're reporting to court every 2 weeks, seeing their probation officer a minimum of every 2 weeks, and eventually phase 3, where they're only coming to court once a month.
Okay. So basically, they are required to report to a courtroom in the beginning once a week. Later on, it drops to the number of times they go to the courtroom. But in addition to that, there are other requirements, including what, meeting with their probation officer?
Yes. Phase 1 is especially intensive. Phase 1, you have to meet with your probation officer every week. You have to see your case manager. You have to attend your drug and alcohol counseling. You have to go before the judge. You have to be attending 12-step meetings, obtaining a sponsor, and job searching.
And is there any type of requirements of verification that the participants are going through all of these programs?
Yes, we verify everything.
Is this monitored through the probation office?
Yes.
Okay, and that's part of your job as well as the people who work for you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. As I understand it, you did mention that the person has to plead guilty to the underlying crime.
Correct.
Is it my understanding that if they plead guilty and are successful with the program, that the crime is somehow reduced? Can you explain what happens?
Yes. Felony charges, if someone successfully graduates the program and completes the 1-year aftercare. During that aftercare phase, they have to pay off all of their court costs and fines in full. They must remain crime-free. After that 1-year period, all felonies are reduced to misdemeanors and misdemeanor charges are dismissed.
So someone who successfully completes the program and proves for a year that they have not done anything else wrong, if you will, then their criminal record is reduced as compared to somebody who just pled guilty to the same crime.
Correct. It's a huge benefit to the program.
Okay. And the people who go through the program, how many of them complete the program? You said that there's 150 people in the program at any given time. So how many actually are successful in completing it?
I don't have that figure with me.
You don't have that figure with you.
Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. But from what I understand, it's the great majority.
It's probably about 60%.
60%? Okay. And well, let's see. We're almost out of time right now before I get to the next question. So why don't we take a break right here? My name is Tom O'Shea. I'm here with Legal Lines, and tonight's topic is Drug Treatment Court. My guests are Judge Penny Blackwell and April Billet-Barclay. April is the Deputy Chief Adult Probation Officer for York County. Thank you. Welcome back to Legal Lines. Tonight's program is about the York County Drug Treatment Court, and my guests are Judge Penny Blackwell and April Billet-Barclay, who is the Deputy Chief Adult Probation Officer for York County. And Judge, I want to turn this one over to you. Drug Treatment Court actually is a program that part of it takes place in the courtroom. And can you tell our viewers what happens in the courtroom?
Initially, when somebody has been accepted into the program, they start appearing just to get a feel for what the program is. And they'll come forward. They'll be called forward, and I will ask if they have any questions about our program or if they have any concerns to let us know and talk to the officer or anybody else involved in the program. Once they are ready to plead, what they do is they come in with their attorney, and I go through a regular guilty colloquy, and we have them fill that out. They have to present it to the court along with the 21 conditions that are required of them. They sign and initial all of those conditions, and so it becomes part of that colloquy. What happens then is I go through the colloquy, make sure they understand all their rights, make sure they understand if they're successful that their charges can be reduced or dismissed. I also make them very aware that if they are unsuccessful, I will be the judge who sentences them. There will be a pre-sentence investigation. They'll be allowed to, as in any criminal sentencing, to make comments about what the sentence should be, and then I hear from their attorney in the Commonwealth, and then I sentence. If they then go through successfully through the colloquy, I then turn to the facts of the case. They have to admit the facts of the case, because if they say, no, I didn't, they have a right to go to trial then, and that means they're not accepting responsibility for the crime they have committed. Once they do that, what I then ask them is, do you feel this program can be beneficial? They tell me their thoughts about why they want to be in this program. I then ask them their drug of choice. And that's important because that starts telling us and educating us as a team what kind of drugs have they used. Also, I ask, what other drugs do you use? Do you use alcohol? Do you use or abuse prescription medication? And sometimes these folks are talking about up to 4 to 6 different kind of drugs that they have used over the course of their life. I also find out from them at what age have they started using. The lowest age I've been told by a defendant in court is 8 years of age, where they started using some kind of drug and then proceeded, and this person I think was probably in their late 20s, early 30s when they finally came into the court. We then meet on a weekly basis, as April had indicated. They come in, every defendant is called forward, and I ask them how they're doing, what concerns, if any, they have. Also, I am privy to information based on our team meetings. There may be things involving family matters that should not be discussed in open court, but I'll say I'm aware of circumstances that are right now stressful. How can we help you? Bring that to our attention. And moreover, as they are successful going through the program, they then start appearing every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks. The same kind of questioning and interaction goes on. And this is involving every person who is in the court. They are, like I said, individually before the court, and they are questioned individually by the court. And they sometimes raise concerns that are surprising even to their assigned probation officer. Maybe there is something that's happened in the family and we need to deal with it. Maybe they've lost their job. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe they feel like they're getting ready to relapse. Occasionally, I may involve the group as a whole if there's somebody who says, oh, I relapsed on my use of drug, I found my stash accidentally, I didn't know it was there. And I'm like, any addict knows where their stash is. And I will ask the individuals in the back of the courtroom, do you believe this person's story? And they all start laughing because as addicts, they know where their drugs are if they've got them stashed. So those are the kind of things. And I stress to each of them, be honest with us, come forward. And on occasion, after somebody has been up and said no problems, they'll go to the back of the courtroom and then be asked to call forward again, because then they may say, this is what I did.
Okay, if I may go back to the beginning with what you said with respect to the guilty plea colloquy. In other words, the person, as I understand it, would plead guilty to the underlying crime.
Right.
And in lieu of being sentenced to prison or probation or whatever else the appropriate sentence might be for the crime, they agree to go through this program. Is that a fair way of looking at it?
And the sentencing is deferred.
Okay.
And it's only imposed if they are out of the program. What has happened, they're then accepted into the drug treatment court program. And from that day forward, all of those terms and conditions are to be
so if they don't complete the program, they might find themselves being sentenced for the underlying crime.
Correct.
Okay. If they complete the program, is there still some sentence that would go with it?
No, that's what was previously mentioned, that if they had a felony, for example, that's reduced to a misdemeanor, and their misdemeanors are dismissed. They still remain of record. So if in the future, unfortunately, they once again have an incursion into the criminal justice system and are sentenced, the felony would not be considered, but the misdemeanor would be considered for prior record score purposes.
Okay. And I understand that when someone successfully completes the program, there's actually a graduation.
Yes, there is a graduation. We generally have 3, if not 4 a year. And those are graduations in which the graduate has to apply for graduation. They fill out a form. They tell us what is going on in their life. What do they see their future to be? And those are very, very moving documents to read. And they are amazing. And every person who receives that graduation certificate and plaque has to speak to the crowd. And there's sometimes, I believe, between 150 to 200 people. And people who show up, such as the families, such as prior friends, because they are recognizing the success of this individual.
So it sounds like a very successful program. In April, I want to turn to you with respect to what success the county receives out of this program, if you will.
Okay. We pulled some graduation statistics August of 2007. We looked at every single graduate of the program since it started in October of 1997. And we found that only 35% of our graduates had recidivated. When we took that from 2004 forward, the number reduced to only 22% of our graduates recidivated, which is amazing when you compare that to national averages of 67% of prisoners are rearrested and 52% of those are reincarcerated. So really we're making a huge impact in the community.
So to state this very simply, if drugs are the underlying problem for the crime, if you treat the cause, the drug addiction, it's unlikely that the person committing the crime will continue to commit crimes because they are no longer addicted to the drugs. Is that
correct?
A simple way of putting it?
Yes.
And and as I understand your statistics, that roughly we're about 50% of what would be the normal rate of repeat offenders is that for the people who go through this program. Is that fair to say? I think you said 60% versus 30%, maybe.
Yes, 67% of prisoners are rearrested.
Okay.
Whereas only 35% of our individuals are rearrested.
So that's really, we're cutting the number down in half.
Yes.
So that would be very successful in most people's views.
Yes.
And I believe you also have some statistics that would show how much money
Yes.
that would save the taxpayers, if you will, with respect to people who go through this program.
Yes.
Okay?
When we compared the graduates of the program just in this year, just 2009, we looked at all of the time that they actually served in jail while they were in drug treatment court, and we compared that to the sentencing guidelines. We took the standard range of sentencing, we took the middle of the standard range of sentencing, and compared those numbers to how much time they could have served in jail. And one day in jail cost $63 a day. So we estimated that, well, we actually did save the county $433,188 just this year in jail days.
Because these people most likely would have spent the time in jail instead of in the treatment court, if you will, and therefore, and I assume that it doesn't cost anything close to this to run the drug treatment court.
No, it doesn't. We get them out into the community, we get them into treatment, we treat their addiction, and we turn out responsible, productive citizens who are working, who have clean time, who are have regained custody of their children, who are back with their families, who are successful.
And I also believe, from what was said before, that part of the program requires them also to pay their court costs as well as any restitution to victims that would be owed.
Yes.
And that's part of the condition of being in the program.
Right. From the day they start in the program, we focus on employment. As soon as they have an income, they are required to pay on their court cost fines, restitution, their drug court fees. We monitor that the whole way through the program. And as I said before, 1 year after graduation, everything has to be paid off to have your charges reduced or dismissed.
So you're pretty successful in getting those costs paid.
Yes, we are. We collected, just this year, we collected $9,000 from our participants, from our graduates, in court cost fines and restitution.
Am I fair in imagining that that's much more successful than other people who are sentenced to jail paying their court costs?
Correct. When you're lodged in jail, you're on.
How do you pay it?
Exactly.
All right. But aside from the monetary cost that this program would save the taxpayers, if you will, there's also much greater achievement, and that's dealing with the individuals who go through the program. And Judge Blackwell, I'd like to turn your attention to, can you describe what goes on with respect to the people who go through the program? What stories you can tell based upon some of the cases you've seen?
One of the things that is amazing to watch, and I've been on the court since January of this year, is just to watch the physical and emotional change in an individual. And it relates not just to their health, it relates to their attitude toward life. And you can see people gain a level of confidence that is a positive level of confidence. They learn how to do things in a productive way. And that starts bringing back the emotions that they can share with their families, they can share with their children, they can be proud of themselves and being able to work, to hold a job, and also to just relate in a positive way to their families and to their friends. And for example, there was a graduation in which a gentleman was speaking about his time in the program, and he looks out and he sees his old high school football coach who has come to honor this man. And this gentleman was probably in his 40s. And so for him to have this coach come back and recognize him. Additionally, one of the things that's happened twice now is to have a graduate say, either in their application or to the spectators who are there, including their family members, I no longer have to worry about my family getting a call that I've overdosed and died. And the first time I heard that, I teared up, because and I tear up anyway, because it just is such a thought that I would never even have thought of on my own. That to have that worry, even though they were using, they knew and faced the possibility that somebody in their family would get that call and have to deal with it. And when I first came on into the program, we did have a young lady who had gotten out of the program and overdosed. And to have the individuals in our program recognize that, it was just one of the more moving things and one of the more important things for them to realize. That they are not just gaining back their lives, they're keeping alive. And that is so important. And it is just also important to our community, because we're getting functional individuals who want to be in the community, to help the community. We have alumni who come back into our court on occasion unexpectedly. And they come in to just touch base with the program itself, to touch base possibly with some of their friends in this program. And when they appear, they are called forward, and to a person, they always say something to the individuals who are in that courtroom. And their words are more important at times about the reality of what they're facing, the reality of what they will face when they get into the community. And it helps the individuals in that courtroom understand they themselves can do it because this individual did it.
It sounds like in addition to the support that you and the team are offering these people, the other individuals going through the program are offering support to each other. Is that fair to say?
That's very fair to say. And April had mentioned having a sponsor. Sponsors are individuals who themselves have been addicts. Everyone is a recovering addict. And it is one where, unless you've been there and done that, it's hard to understand. And so it's important to always have a sponsor. And I think almost every graduation application we have stresses the importance of that individual being in their lives, because they know they can call them any time of the day or night and say, I feel like I'm slipping. And that sponsor understands that. And so they, in turn, can then help them, and our graduates become the sponsors in the future.
Well, it sounds like an extremely successful program, and York County should be proud that we have this program. We were second in the state to have it. But right now, we're out of time. So tonight's program was about drug treatment court, and I'd like to thank my guests, Judge Blackwell and April Billet-Barclay. My name's Tom O'Shea, and this was Legal Lines. Thank you.